Well, there was a corps in '83, and Kevin Armbruster asked me to come back in '83 and join the brass staff. By that time, I was out of college. I was living in Canton. I was a school teacher, and it seemed like the thing to do. It seemed like that would be kind of a fun thing to do. And we had some rehearsals. We had a fair number of rehearsals throughout January, February, and March. And then I don't, Tom Giacomitti's must have still been involved. Art must have still been involved. But all I remember from back then is that we just couldn't get it together. We had a full drum line, some kids in the color guard, and 40 horn players. And back then that wasn't seen as viable. And that we also didn't have the management oversight to be able to get us on the road. And so the decision was made again, like it was in '79, to not come out in '83. And then it was in 1984 when Ted Swaldo came about, and Ted Swaldo immediately was drawn to the staff that was around in '83, which was Kevin and Dennis Hicks and myself and Jeff McVan and Renee Armbruster and people like that who were involved in the '83 Corps, who were all veterans of the Drum Corps. Ted saw that as a good nucleus for a staff to restart things in '84.
My name is Ted Swaldo, and I was a director from 1984 through 1992. Probably like most parents, my son came home one day when he was a junior, and he had attended the Innovation of the Brass show that the Bluecoats did at Fawcett Stadium. And he said, I want to try out for this drum and bugle corps. And I think we kind of blew it off like, okay, it's the idea of the moment. And then later on, when it came time for going to camps, he went and practiced. He was a drummer. So he came home, his hands were hurting, his wrists were all puffed up. And he said, well, I made it, and I'm going to be traveling the country with this drum corps all summer. And that's where the fatherly thing comes in and said, wait a minute, I better find out what this is all about. But I went down there, and what I saw was a group of dedicated kids. I mean, I saw people getting up early, working hard, really trying for perfection. And I saw there was a lot more to drum corps than just music and marching. And that's when I really became a fan. After the corps folded, I was asked by the color guard instructor he wanted to start a winter guard. And I said, yeah, I would do it. And so actually I helped set up the winter guard day. I was the director, if you want to call it that. Very well organized, we funded ourselves. And so what happened after the corps folded, I was approached by Tom Giacomittis, who was the previous director. And he asked me if I would do it for 1 year. He said all I had to do was organize it for 1 year, get it started again, and then he would bring in a staff to manage it after that. And I went to the alumni because these were people who had participated in the program, who had gone through it, and who had benefited from it. And I saw that, and I thought, this is where I want to start. And so I went out and solicited a number of those people, and they kind of taught me drum corps because I didn't know. When you're not the musician, I wasn't worried about how the kids were playing or what they were marching. I was more interested in how we were going to fund it, where we were going to go, how the safety. I needed the parents and the volunteers more than I needed the kids.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of us, when we first built it, there were very few staff members that weren't alumni from the '70s, because that when I was asked to find people, that's who I knew. And so I was going after people that I knew that had a passion for the organization and that would recreate that family feel that we had back in the '70s. And I think that really worked, along with everything Ted was doing on the business side. It really worked in '84, '85, and going into '86. And then we started expanding out beyond that. But it really set a solid foundation. So it was more of a continuation of that alumni bridging into staff. It really helped continue the family orientation, get the ball rolling.
Yeah, to the members, this year's members, I'd say that you have a lot of work ahead of you. That was outstanding what the Corps accomplished last year, and that was built on the building blocks of all the years before. And so now you have a place to stand. They built you someplace to stand, and you can reach higher. And I really want, all I ask for you is to give it 100% and to continue the values and the family relationship that the Corps has been able to achieve over the last 35 years. It's what's made us what we are. It's what's going to keep us in the future. And you, just like the people before you, you have a responsibility to the people coming after you. And you have to set the tempo. So congratulations on what happened before. You got a lot of work for you, and I wish the best, and I will be there to watch.